Kągi, sveiki atvykę į seminarą, tarptautinį seminarą apie pramoninę simbiozę.
Welcome at this international seminar about international symbiosis and its progress and benefits.
International seminar on the progress and opportunities of industrial symbiosis across the Baltic Sea region, and we navigate the transition toward a bio-based economy. I recommend using the headphones because translation is both in English and Lithuanian. Prefer of your language. So I'm changing now to Lithuanian because you can listen to the English. Šis seminaras yra viena iš veiklų įgyvendinant politinės srities bioekonomiką veiklos kryptį.
Is one of the activities of the bioeconomy policy area. The bioeconomy policy area is one of the main activities of the European bioeconomy policy areas. And this is an international event.
Listening online, tie, kurie norėtų persikelti į kitą kalbą, tai yra į anglų dešinėje viršuje matote online, matote mygtuką į anglų kalbą.
You have to choose the button for the English channel. This event is being organized by the Ministry of Agriculture as part of the EU Baltic Sea regional strategy Nordlego and the Research Center for Development and Planning, and I hope that we will have a very productive conference. We will hear interesting presentations from various Scandinavian countries. And now I would like to give the floor to Laura Pramoninės, Deputy Minister of Agriculture.
Labadiena. Gerbiami seminaro dalyviai, tiek susirinkę čia,
Hello,
prisijungę
dear participants of this seminar, both those participating here in presence or connected online. I had the opportunity to talk to you during lunch. Thank you for your insights. I am delighted that we have speakers coming from Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Latvia, and Lithuania. It is gratifying to see that the audience covers the whole Baltic Sea region and even beyond. The speakers have brought their insights and experience to this seminar, which will, I hope, inspire us to discuss greater efforts towards sustainability, that is, towards more efficient production, less pollution, smarter use of resources. Together, we will look for answers to the challenges that companies face, how to plan production towards higher value-added products, sustainable solutions, also towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and towards leaving as little waste as possible. Today's challenges, in particular, call for such solutions as business models based on bioeconomy principles, provide resilience in crisis situations, such as the negative impact on markets caused by the Russian war on the supply of raw materials and energy resources. It helps to mitigate climate change, forces to rethink the farming and production practices, also to use the existing available resources sustainably and efficiently, which opens the door to innovation and sustainable farming practices. Of course, this requires much more effort and even creativity. Sharing good practices and discussions are the basis from which we can start to make changes, and I believe that today we will have a very productive afternoon, and that the real examples of cooperation that we have heard in the seminar will strengthen us for change, and will inspire us for more sustainable practices when we come back to our NGOs, authorities, or just simply our homes. I would like to wish you to enjoy today's afternoon. Thank you, Laura Pramoninės, Vice Minister. Today we will hear many examples on biosymbiosis and its practical application, and how the Nordic examples can be transposed in the Baltic context. But I suggest that we start with the definitions. What is industrial symbiosis? I am convinced you are aware of that, but maybe we should double-check whether we understand it just as our guests, who are the biggest experts in this area. First of all, I would like to mention Alberto Giacometti, the senior researcher, the research advisor from Nordregio. He will first of all introduce you the definitions and how this all looks like in the Baltic context. Alberto, please.
Yes, you hear me now. Thank you very much for having me here.
Labai ačiū, kad galiu būti čia. Man didelė garbė. Aš noriu prisistatyti. Aš esu Nordregio mokslinis patarėjas Alberto Giacometti. Mano kolegos Gaja Ana Berlina prisijungs prie manęs, o dabar man tenka sunki užduotis pristatyti sąvokas, kaip tai atrodo. Nes mes vėliau girdėsime labai įdomių pranešėjų, kurie kalbės apie detalės.
We decided to title this presentation, is it an end or a means? Do we want industrial symbiosis as a final result, or do we want it as a means to achieve something else? Let's break it down together. So just a quick outline. My presentation will be mostly about concepts, and then soon we will bring just a broader perspective of what is the status quo in the Baltic Sea region, quite generally, because when we will hear from the experts later on. And we will have a quick discussion on what are the policy implications. I point out to this policy paper that we are working, commissioned by the Ministry of Agriculture, also because this discussion of today will hopefully help us also come up with some new ideas and new policy implications and recommendations. So be active in the discussion and to also suggest us what do you think are the key things that we can do forward. So again, let's make sense of concepts. We have so many concepts these days that it's hard to keep up with them, right? And also it's hard to distinguish between them and also to give any meaning to them. Are they just buzzwords, or do they make sense, or do they give us anything new, each of these concepts? Or is it that we just get bored with one, we need a new one? Let's break it down. I'll be quick here, but sorry if I state the basics, but I think sometimes we need to reflect back. We have all of these terms, and even more. But let's start with conservation. Conservation is perhaps only one of these concepts that implies mostly status quo. It's just about preserving, protection, and maybe sometimes actions that we can come back to what is normal. It doesn't have necessarily any connection to socio-ecological systems. Whereas all these other concepts, they all touch on the interlinkage between social systems, economic systems, and the environment. But they emphasize different nuances, so let's go through it. Sustainability already from the 80s became popularized, trying to put these different perspectives together. Okay, we have society, environment, and economy. We need some kind of balance between these three. They are all equally important. Circular economy emphasized more specifically, more narrowly on the importance of moving away from this consuming pattern of producing, making, using, and wasting to a more holistic understanding on resources, where we can prolong the life cycle of resources, and we kind of eliminate the idea of waste, but we always can give new uses to resources. Green economy popularized in more or less in 2012, when this famous figure of the donut economy came to be, with the idea that, well, as a society, as an economy, we realize we cannot live without resources. So we cannot go back to eliminate any kind of impact to society. What's important is that we stay within a boundary. So they introduced this concept of the planetary boundaries, right? So as long as we stay within this way of using resources, we will have a sustainable life and we will live in balance. But if we transgress these boundaries, then we have a problem. Then we have bioeconomy. Bioeconomy emphasized an economy that is based on biological resources. And this has a deeper meaning because it's a lot about the emphasis of all the different kind of products that we can get from biological resources, replacing fossil and mineral resources. So it's not just about the basics, but going to biochemical products, biofuels, all of that. And then degrowth. Degrowth, not a new concept, already from the 70s is out there, but it became much more popularized in the 2000s also as a movement, degrowth, as a challenge to the idea of capitalism and capitalist economy, the endless consumption of resources. We cannot go like that forever. So we have to degrowth. We need to de-escalate our consumption of resources. Now, green growth comes as a response to this, if you like, where many views are, well, we cannot stop growth. We need an economy. We need a healthy economy. But maybe it's about the type of growth. Maybe we need to change how we use the resources. And then perhaps a more recent term, green transition, focuses more on the interlinkages between our technological systems and our societal systems. So it's more about the practicalities. How do we, technologies alone will not be enough. How do we use technical knowledge and how we change people's behavior and how society operates together? Now, so what do we do? What do all these terms tell us? We can be critical to these terms, but what do they inform us? Basically, it gives us two avenues. If we want to act on the environmental crisis, of course, we can do other things. But if let's say we act on this, all these terms give us two avenues. Basically, one is economic decline. This is degrowth. We slow down our production, and also that means slowing down economy. Or two, we decouple value creation from resource utilization. So here's when things become interesting, right? How do we do that? So here, two new concepts come to the table. One is valorization, and the other one is the topic of today, industrial symbiosis. And what is really valorization? Another of those terms that is always there, but maybe we struggle to understand. So in very short, valorization is all about capturing the highest amount of value from X resource, whatever resource. Now, these will help us decouple our economic growth from resource utilization. It's one of the ways. Of course, there are others. And what does that mean? Maybe you have seen similar of these ladders or pyramids that make a hierarchy of the use of the different types of uses of or resources in general. Now, perhaps the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit of creating value from waste, for example, is waste to energy, right? You take something that had no value, that's why waste means waste, there's no value. But if you can give it easy value, you can burn it for energy, or you can make a fuel for energy. Okay, this is the lowest hanging fruit, probably the easiest way to do it, but it's also the quickest way to end the lifespan of a resource. It will be gone forever. Whereas the more you go higher on this ladder, on this hierarchy, you can produce more added value with less resources and more complex products. So we can go from biofuels to bioenergy to biochemicals to engineer wood products or to all kinds of different biomaterials, for example, and not just bio, right? Now, creating value is not only about the profits that these generators, but is also about the trickle-down effects that they generate in the economy. So the lowest in the ladder will give us the lowest value, but it will also give us, it will require less labor and less skills to perform these activities. So to produce biogas, you don't need a lot of skills and a lot of labor. The more you go higher, you need more specialized labor and you need more labor. And so that will have a more a trickle-down effect on the broader economy if we think from a regional point of view or a country point of view. Now, valorization can happen in several ways. We can actually, within a company, one company can decide to expand from their value chain, add a new activity to their portfolio of products or services, and decide to add a new type of industry within the existing industry. Or it can happen as a simple business transaction. Company A sells the residue to company B does something with that. Now, this is where industrial symbiosis becomes relevant. Industrial symbiosis is a more complex form of resource exchange between different players. And it's not only about the flow from company A to company B. It's not just a simple business transaction, but it entails a more complex form of collaboration where both the giver and the recipient, so to say, benefit on another level. So that's why I call here 1 + 1 is not 2, but 1 + 1 is 3, because it creates an additional value, the fact that there is a cooperation. Now we can add a third concept if we want, because we can add the bio-industrial symbiosis, which has a double purpose, right? Is on the one hand, the circularity of material utilization, and on the second hand, the replacement of fossil and mineral resources for bioresources. So, re-emphasizing where I started, let's emphasize the difference between what of these concepts are means and what of these concepts are goals. Of course, valorization, industrial symbiosis is a channel to achieve something, right? And it's one of, in the toolbox, what we want is a sustainable economy, a green economy, a balanced society that we can live in environment. That's the goal, right? Valorization, industrial symbiosis, those are the means. Now, from theory to practice, that's where things get complicated, right? Because it's easy to theorize that one company takes resources from another company, but in essence, this is where the complex social and institutional systems come to place. How do we use creative business models? How do we ensure that company A and company B, if they have a common ambition, they will create a codependence kind of relation? How can I invest money as a company if I depend on another company? It's a risky business, right? So it becomes very complicated. So now the idea to respond to this question maybe is to look at what happens on the ground. So I would like to invite Anna first to talk a little bit about the Nordics.
Thank you. So I will then continue with some learnings from the Nordics. So in the Nordic countries, we've seen that among the key features in developing industrial symbiosis here has been focus on the bottom-up approaches. In many cases, the industrial symbiosis activities have emerged bottom-up, not necessarily supported by the national strategies. And another key feature, distinguishing feature, has been the presence of local and regional networks that facilitate industrial symbiosis development. And these networks have played an important role by bringing together actors from municipal authorities, but also academia and different clusters and networks. And frequently, industrial symbiosis activities have emerged spontaneously and were self-organized, starting often with very simple exchanges, and then as growing in maturity, also increased more strategic investments. And industrial symbiosis doesn't even not only benefit the individual companies through collaboration, but also the broader context where the companies are located. So often successful industrial symbiosis cases have brought international recognition to the regions, drawing businesses and other actors interested in learning about their cases, about their experiences. And the Nordics features among some of the oldest industrial symbiosis cases, and among them are very well-known ones such as Kalundborg symbiosis in Denmark, which is probably institution of industrial symbiosis in itself, and the other ones such as Svartsengi Resource Park and Handele industrial symbiosis in Sweden. And these cases, these well-known cases, have provided inspiration to emerging industrial symbiosis ventures in many other regions in the world. And then a few words about the national level support to industrial symbiosis. There have been some differences in approaches across the countries. While in Finland and Denmark there has been, so industrial symbiosis has been explicitly promoted at the national level. This support has not been the case in other Nordic countries, Sweden, Iceland and Norway. But still, in the absence of a national strategy for support industrial symbiosis in Sweden, for instance, Sweden still boasts a lot of industrial symbiosis networks, which also point to other preconditions such as that facilitated this type of ventures, such as good collaboration culture, and other conditions we talk about later today. I will then give over the floor to Maja.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, the event organizers. It has been really a pleasure to explore this topic and look what's happening in the Baltic countries. And of course, when we look at the Baltic countries, we kind of tend to see them as somewhat similar due to this historical context, past dependencies. But if we look at the industrial kind of symbiosis perspective, then we can see also quite profound regional differences among Baltics. And Lithuania is leading the adoption of industrial symbiosis due to being relatively more industrial than the other Baltic countries. But then in some of the areas it also faces challenges, like the one in furniture sector, so the wood resources, the situation of monopsony due to the IKEA as a large producer. So that's something interesting, that's something different from the other kind of Baltic countries. What is somewhat similar in all of them when we look at the industrial symbiosis, where we don't see a very clear pilot project that we could say, oh, this is our first Baltic industrial symbiosis. So there is still an opportunity to develop that. But what we see in terms of this context is this top-down planning and implementation modus operandi. So it's quite controlled, planned, trickled from the top, and that's somewhat different from the previous examples that we saw of maybe regions striving or trying to differentiate and develop their own approaches. Of course, in all the Baltic countries, we have to rely quite a lot on EU funding, and that kind of sets the tone, what kind of initiatives are supported or what kind of formats for these initiatives are more valued. So that's something similar for all of the Baltic countries. And all of the countries, of course, are more focusing on this circular economy. So again, going back to what is the economy, so less industrial, more service or tertiary based. So definitely circular economy in a smaller scale kind of aspects is preceding, so to say, those stronger industrial symbiosis cases. Maybe a good sign is that consultants are getting interested to join the buzz or to kind of develop these type of happenings in the Baltic countries. And just very recently, actually at the National Day of Latvia on 18th of November, the Baltic Circular Hotspot was launched during the Nordic Circular Summit in Helsinki. And this is quite unique initiative that unites Lithuanian, Estonian and Latvian consultants willing to work with this circular economy kind of topic more in depth. And as you see here in this LinkedIn post, there is really ambition to develop a 10-year action plan for systemic change. So at least the understanding is there, the willingness is there, and some kind of happenings are taking place. The question, of course, is how industrial will these kind of developments be, but let's see. So yeah, we have to admit that these are small-scale, relatively non-industrial, but with high circularity potential economies. And here we can see different kind of developments in each of the countries, who is doing what, and some of the cases we will hear later during today. And in each of the countries we can find some really good practice examples that are interesting maybe for other Baltic countries, because these type of experiences we can easily transfer to each other or easily learn from each other, taking the somewhat similar contexts. So for example, the Circular Economy White Paper and the Bioeconomy Roadmap in Estonia, or in Latvia, as you will hear later, is this Synergia platform. And Lithuania is definitely the leader in green public procurement. That's something amazing and something that the other Baltic countries could potentially easily transfer this practice to their countries. So small scale, non-industrial but circular, and with certain path dependencies, there is definitely chance to develop something more substantial in the future. And if we really want to kind of compare Nordics and Baltics or kind of see this transferability opportunities, then this is just like a synopsis, not a determinant, not something clear-cut in the stone, but maybe something that we as researchers, Alberto and Anna and me, we have noticed that maybe sometimes the question is not that much about the bio-based industrial symbiosis, but it's about the certain planning and governance structures. So is it centralized or decentralized? Is there high or low R&D expenditure investments? And what is the focus? Is it export or local market development? So with that, I would like to end and welcome back Alberto with further considerations. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are not concluding because we're only starting the day of discussions, but we wanted to highlight that although we learn from each other, we don't copy each other. We are fundamentally different regions. And those differences need to be highlighted if we are going to, from those learnings, adapt to create our own solutions. So just during lunch, we were discussing that the Nordics have a much more decentralized governance system. Municipalities have much more room for operating, more resources, more mandate, as opposed to the Baltics. There is much more industry in several of the Nordic countries that provides a foundation for how they operate. We cannot expect Baltic countries to go the same path. Maybe they will find a completely different path. However, there is also to highlight that there is a lot of interesting things going on in the Baltics already. It's a different, maybe, stage of development, as Maya well highlighted. So we don't have conclusions, as I mentioned, because we have only gotten started today. But I just wanted to mention some key policy implications in relation to agency. Who does what? Who leads the way? And here we wanted to highlight that based on the learnings from the many examples we have been observing in Nordic countries, in Baltics, in many countries, there is not one way to do it. There's no one pathway to establish an industrial symbiosis or other forms of cooperation. And who takes the lead is not always the case. Anna started bringing up the case of Kalundborg and others. They were very much bottom-up processes where the initial motivation was businesses seeing the natural reason for collaborating. They will benefit from this transaction. Then facilitation and the structures built around to support this Kalundborg industrial symbiosis, industrial complex, you could put it, came later. But it's not the same with others. We will hear about Sutenäs in Sweden later. The motivation of, or the leading way, or the leading path for collaborating was very much also from the institutional sector, from the municipalities more specifically. So this is just to show that we have different forms of leadership from institutional leadership. That it's very much putting the entrepreneurial hat on institutions as drivers of processes, not just passive, static entities, but entrepreneurial. And of course, we know that businesses and companies are also entrepreneurial, but there's also a bias here. We assume that all companies are pushing the way, and that's not always true. But there can also be collaborative forms of leadership. So is it A leading to B to C, or can we think of different forms? Like, this is my key message. The point here is that this is observable in the ground. By looking at how different examples of collaborations emerge, it's not always one path. It can be a company leading, it can be a university, sometimes it is a municipality. So let's keep an open mind of different forms of collaboration and how we can start this process to empower all of us, to empower all kind of actors to take the initiative. So with that, and eventually it's the idea that all actors together, no actor can do these processes together. Is about the intersection between actors, is the in-between of actors where new ideas come from, new business models, new collaborations emerge. All together will lead to a green economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alberto, Maya, and Hannah, for the great your presentation. So I'm looking forward to see you on the discussion, on a final panel discussion, and I hope the audience will have a lot of questions in the final of our seminar. So,
let's move to practical examples how symbiosis is implemented in different countries, scientific centers, regions. Let us start from Lithuania this time. We are here in Lithuania, and this is where our seminar is ongoing. So now we will hear from Teresa Skutaitė from Innovations Agency on the secondary raw system creation in Lithuania.
Teresa Skutaitė, I come from Innovation Agency Lithuania, and as supporting the industry's green transition is my everyday goal, I am very happy to join the conversation today. But I will be joining the conversation in Lithuanian, so please pick up the headsets and I will begin.
Last year, with our colleagues in the Innovations Agency, we carried out a survey with the aim to identify the proposal for encouraging secondary raw materials in Lithuania and their development, and also looked at their types, and we tried to, with the help of different stakeholders, to identify the main mechanisms for functioning of secondary raw materials, also the need for development, and also propose the policy shapers to encourage these markets. Our research had a twofold methodology: the European Environmental Agency methodology, where we looked at different groups of raw materials, textile, wood, plastics, metals, also biologically degradable materials, also paper and cotton. And we also looked into 35 expert interviews. 27 were from business companies, their insights. We looked at the waste management centers, also state institutions and other stakeholders. Very briefly about the results. Here you see the chart from 8 secondary raw material markets in Lithuania and the assessment of their level. Well, won't look into the details about every market, but their results tells us that plastic and glass secondary material markets are quite well developed in Lithuania. But if we were to look at in the context of this discussion about biodegradable raw materials, our survey showed that this market is not well developed, and we need additional incentives to develop it. To summarize the survey results, the research results, the problem in Lithuania is that all secondary raw material markets and their measures are very scattered and fragmented in terms of supply and demand of secondary raw materials. And for those markets to work effectively, you need symbiosis between those two markets. So if we have sufficient supply, we have lots of secondary raw materials, we can sort them, but we are not putting them on the second level cycle. So we need cooperation, communication, and measures to prompt changes. Well, there are a few things what in Lithuania is stopping secondary raw material market development. One, and the most important one, is that the industrial company does not pay back to use secondary raw materials. So primary raw materials are paying back better, and they are not encouraged to use secondary raw materials. Also, administrative testing, sampling, certification, and transportation costs are as overheads for companies. That's why they are reluctant to get into this market. So it's quite difficult and not sustainable from an economic point of view. And also the supply problem, that there is insufficient and not good sorting on the level of business, and also a mixed communal waste decentralization does not help us to see the overall picture and use all the opportunities in the secondary raw material market. This is the way industrial symbiosis project and the insufficient existence could play quite a major role. Well, in our research, we talked with quite a lot of institutions and also the experts from the scientific community. Industrial symbiosis projects that are quite developed in the Western countries, in Lithuania, that are not sufficiently developed. And there are a few reasons for that, why this does not prompt the development and why we can't really reach the breakthrough. First of all, economic barriers. For the companies at the moment, it does not really pay back to take part in such projects and initiatives. The second thing is the drawbacks in terms of monitoring. We don't have a sufficient decentralized system that could help us to give the answers and to identify the projects for the industrial symbiosis, where the raw material could become a raw material for another company. And this lack of cooperation and the need for cooperation are the preconditions that the projects of industrial symbiosis happen quite successfully.
In fact, we concluded our research with the conclusions and recommendations for policy formation, and this has shown a few important things for us. In order for us in Lithuania to successfully start using all secondary material, both industrial and bio-industrial, industrial symbiotic projects are one of the most essential things to be developed, because today it is essential that we develop both internal trade and international products helping the development of markets. So we finished our study with a few different proposals for policy formation. Here I am outlining the major ones. As mentioned, today we are encountering the problem that in Lithuania we have only a decentralized waste management system, and the interested companies lack the information which raw materials could become their object. Therefore, we try to determine the conditions for the companies and interested entities to receive the needs for the projects related to industrial symbiosis. The second presentation is naturally that the financial means for business companies help change the direction in the way which is important to the state, but at the moment they don't pay back for the business. And we hope that in the future that we should propose and implement more financial measures for the companies that are considered replacing the primary materials in their business with the secondary ones through compensating the costs they may incur. Of course, this funding measure, if it were popular and effective on the Lithuanian market, would allow develop the industrial symbiosis in Lithuania, because the economic incentives would help companies search for the partners in this business and for resource suppliers. And finally, when thinking about the projects, listening to the presentation, I started thinking about what circularity is and what is the green transformation, how the objectives could be achieved. Sometimes it seems very clear where we have to go, and we have very good examples from our Nordic neighbors. But of course, on our market, companies need a measure which justifies itself in order to overcome economic and mental barriers, mentality barriers in our minds. Because today we have the economic incentives, which is the major obstacle to develop the secondary materials market and consequently the symbiosis market in Lithuania. But of course, raising awareness, according to our research, according to our study, would help contribute to the breakthrough happening in Lithuania. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you very much. We will hear that is in the final discussion as well. And now we have to move on to Sweden, to the Sotena town with only 9,000 residents. And it has one of the biggest symbiosis centers in Scandinavia, which is a perfect example for the Baltic countries. And I would like to give the floor to Stina Gottlieb, who will tell us about how it works. I hope Stina is connected. Hello, Stina.
Thank you. Yes, I'm with you. I'm so happy to have the chance to share this Sotena's example.
So stage is yours. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Stina Gottlieb, and I work for the municipality of Sotenäs, where we have a center of symbiosis. And I'm very happy to be with you today and share our experiences. So let's move on. Sotenäs is a municipality on the Swedish west coast, and we are a rather small municipality, and we have not so many citizens, but we have a lot of tourists and we have a lot of summertime residents. And at the same time, we are Sweden's leading marine food industry location. And why do I tell you this? It is that these industries sometimes collide, having the tourism, having the marine food industry, and symbiosis was one way of actually having both these businesses coexisting. And symbiosis is basically, as we see it, 1 + 1 should be 3, 4, or 5. It's about generating values that when we work together, we reach further. And we started with the symbiosis in Sotenäs more than a decade ago, and it was several things happening at the same time. The municipality had this idea that we need to work stronger with the industry, with the business life. And there was this idea that we could make things smarter. There was the private company, Rena Hav, who saw that we are not doing things as smart as we could do it. And then we went to Kalundborg in Denmark that I heard you talked about. And then we saw that, okay, there is something called industrial symbiosis. It's really smart. It's about making room for more, working with the environment. And it's also something that we have started doing in Sotenäs. We didn't know it was called symbiosis, but we can see that this is exactly what we are planning to do. So in 2015, we started the municipal platform of Sotenäs Center of Symbiosis. And this was also connected to that the marine food industry, which is really important for us in Sotenäs, had some challenges. There were new regulations about wastewater treatment, and we could see that either we do this in a smarter way, more resource efficient, more environmental friendly, or we might lose some of our industries. And symbiosis became the answer of actually solving the problem at the same time as we can create growth. And it all started with the private companies saw that we can actually work together. If we put the industries together, we get a volume big enough to create a business case. And the municipality saw that we have a lot of different companies, industries, organizations. They are here. What happens if we connect the dots? And what can be the municipal role? Can we be a part of this? And then we saw that this is a network, and a network needs a platform. And we as a municipality can be this neutral actor who actually can gather everyone that needs to be involved. So today, this is how we draw the industrial symbiosis app. And it's about energy, wastewater, land-based aquaculture, beer brewery, agricultural farming. It's also about marine plastics, but it's about connecting dots, finding the good business cases, and working together. And it's all about people. I cannot stress this enough. Industrial symbiosis doesn't happen by itself. You need to have the enthusiasts, the brave entrepreneurs, the brave politicians, we need to find each other, create trust, create collaborations. And this is our industrial business park that really is the base of the symbiosis in Sotenäs. And we are really proud of this because we know that symbiosis could be hard to establish, and there is easy to draw it on a map, but to make it function in real life could be harder. So we are really proud of having these industries, having these companies working together. And it started with a challenge, but very soon it turned into opportunities. In 2022, this scientific article was written by Linköping, where it stated that this is Sweden's most sustainable industrial cluster. And we can see that, from challenge to actually having growth, we have new industries, we have new companies, we have innovative companies that we are amazed that they choose Sotenäs as a place to be. But this is because we have the industrial symbiosis, we have the circular economy, we have created an innovative hotspot that attract others. And it's all about people and seeing that obstacles are there, but they are obstacles as long as you don't find the solutions. And the more innovation we create, the more innovation we will foster. And we can see that the green industry, the blue industry interconnect. And also with all the crises, we can see that we are producing energy, fertilizer, food, and we are achieving the Green Deal. And this has been really important for Sotenäs because we are the small municipality and we need to have this innovative mindset. And also about finding the different roles we have. I'm employed by the municipality. We are working with the companies and we are working together, but we also need to define what do the municipality do, what do the company do, and when do we interact. And industrial symbiosis can be applied anywhere. It's all about the mindset of seeing waste is just a resource that is untapped. There are potential. And in Sotenäs, it was really successful that we started small and then it expanded. And in that way, we also built trust along the network. So this was a very short introduction to the symbiosis in Sotenäs, but I hope it can inspire part of the oncoming discussions.
Thank you, Stina, for your great experience for our Sotenäs Biosymbiosis Center. What a great example could be, what a great experience could be for Lithuanian Symbiosis Center. So, okay, now we have a coffee break for 20 minutes. Kavos pertraukėlė 20 minučių ir tikiuosi mes susitiksime toliau. Bus daugiau.
I hope we will see each other later and there will be more practical examples.
Kągi, grįžtame į konferenciją, dėkuoju, kad visi susirinkome ir vėl.
Let us come back after our conference and how the cooperation is ongoing between the countries from Scandinavia or the Baltic states in trying to develop industrial and symbiosis decisions. If we were to speak about bio boosters and also its experience, let us hear from Lina Stanionytė, who is the International Projects Coordinator.
Opportunity for letting me to introduce our BioBoosters experience. As told, I'm coming from Sunrise Tech Park. We are a business support organization based here in Vilnius, with a mission to support and to scale up young and knowledge-intensive businesses. Our focuses are deep tech, digitalization, and clean tech innovators, and we are partner in many international projects. So here I will share the story about one of them. So first, some data. BioBoosters is a project on circular transition. It is financed by Baltic Sea region Interreg program. We have 3 years of implementation, and in these 3 years we are committed to organize 18 hackathons in bioeconomy sector, and with these hackathons we are expected to get about 70 solutions from innovators to circular transition challenges, and to reach 20 research and innovation collaborations. And these hackathons are expected to gather about 500 specialists, mentors, organizers, companies into collaboration on circular transition in Baltic Sea region. What are the main features of BioBoosters? Well, it promotes solutions in bioeconomy with open hackathon calls. We address principles of industrial symbiosis, such as valorization of side streams, resource sharing, waste minimization, and process optimization. It is a business-driven hackathon model, and it addresses real problems. Challenge providers are companies, and participants work on real-life problems. And winners also, they have opportunity to implement their solutions with challenge providers. The acceleration model was developed by ENG University of Applied Sciences in central Finland, and now it is tested internationally. And the value of international hackathon model is a bigger variety of solutions, taking the problem from different perspectives, enhancing local ecosystems, and bringing international expertise. Too far. One more. Sorry, I'm not very. No, it's. I'm not very handy with this one. Okay, who we are. Finally, the map. Yeah, we are 9 partners from 7 countries. 2 are coming from Sweden, biofuel region, paper province. The lead partner is ENG University of Applied Science from central Finland. We have 2 partners coming from Estonia. We have a German partner, Vitano Science and Technology Park. We have Bizeme region, Procivis Foundation in Poland, and Sunrise Tech Park from Lithuania. And we also have many associated partners supporting us, such as Ministry of Agriculture and Nordic Council of Ministers here in Lithuania. And we all managed to cover different aspects of bioeconomy and to contribute to our hackathons. And this is our hackathon model, the process of 2.5 months, and well, all it starts from discussions from with challenge provider to identify the needs, to describe the challenge, what we are looking for, what are evaluation criteria, and also defining promise for winning teams. And the distinct feature of this hackathon that it is active participation from challenge provider companies in mentoring, in hackathon days, and then also committing to support winning solutions. We already finalized 9 international hackathons organized in participating countries, and the thematics can be summarized as valorization of biological side streams, which is the core of industrial symbiosis. We got 3 solutions here, I will talk about it later. And also other important thematics is optimization of sustainable use of bioresources with digitalization and improved processes. And another group is discovering new bio-based materials, ingredients, products, and trying to replace non-renewable products with bio-based alternatives. So the results we have so far. Well, we managed 9 hackathons, and we received over 120 applications and 64 teams selected. And well, we launched with 9 hackathons, 11 official cooperations, and 5 of them, they are international matches. You can see their applications are coming from some bigger countries like Sweden, Finland, Poland, and in Germany, and with more partners. We have more applicants from Baltic countries, smaller countries. We have less applicants, but we also have participants from other Baltic Sea region countries such as Norway and Denmark, and also other EU and even non-EU countries. We have Belgium and Spanish teams also participating. So now more into the topic of industrial symbiosis and the valorization of side streams, the solutions bioboosters can propose. So we had a challenge from Holmen Forest Production Holding in Sweden, and they already use residual streams from forest industry into their business. Residuals like branches and bark, they go for bioenergy. Biosludge go into compost, but residuals such as ash was not sufficiently used, and they asked them if they could turn ash from waste into resource. And a small Swedish company, Biocompost, provided the solution, which includes ash decomposition processes, and the elements of ash, they have fertilizing properties, and it can be used in compost mixtures at Holmen's tree nurseries. Another solution was asked by Consum Beet, sugar beet processing company in Germany. They asked for solution to transform sugar beet residues from waste to value, and we had very comprehensive challenge, including 6 side streams from sugar, biogas, bioethanol production, and wastewater treatment. They received 25 applications, and even 3 winning teams were selected. And the solutions they got, it's innovative method to produce biofertilizers from the beet pulp, solution for growing mushrooms on residues from bioethanol plant, and also was a solution to convert beet leaves into acids, which could further used for high-quality chemicals. Another challenge from Voister, greenhouse company of Estonia, leading horticulture companies, and seeking to use horticulture residue biomass into resources. And we got a solution to convert greenhouse biomass into biochar, a stable form of carbon created through pyrolysis of organic materials. So the very interesting solution. So all these companies, they are focusing on sustainability, they are using side streams and also optimization measures, and they are really good examples on raising awareness how to use side streams and to turn it into value into new projects. So to sum up, beyond raising awareness, which is very important to highlight opportunities for industrial symbiosis, for waste valorization, projects such as bioboosters, they promote collaboration across sectors and industries, bringing participants from various sectors, from biotechnology, engineering, IT, agriculture, and their collaboration brings new value. Also, providing innovative solutions for waste valorization, challenge providers from bioeconomy, they seek to valorize waste and to find new use cases. And well, it also showcases potential and demonstrates feasibility. Hackathons provide proof of concepts which helps companies to decide about their investment decisions and to test it in real environment. And it goes beyond hackathon. It is fostering collaboration with long-term perspective. Challenge providers are committed to support implementation of the solution, depending on the stage at which it is, and this cooperation might develop into further symbiotic relations. And well, we have more hackathons launched this autumn. One of them just finalized last week, Lucas Hackathon for Smart Logistics of Recycled Nutrients. And 2 more, they are this week. Karlstad Energy Hackathon is how to use wine corks for what could be new applications. The company Karlstad Energy is seeking to collect and to separate this waste, and we are looking if there could be another use. So we will find the solution providers very soon, and also Stora Enso from Visami region. They are looking how to protect wood, and Skellefteå Hackathon, they are looking for solutions to track their biomass piles. So about all these solutions, and you can check our LinkedIn channel and our web page, and very soon the publication will be published about the stories of 9 hackathons just finalized. So thank you.
Ačiū Linai už pristatymą, mes ją dar girdėsime ir panelinėje diskusijoje.
Thank you, Lina, for your presentation. She will be participating in the panel discussion at the end. And at the moment, we will move to Latvia, and the representative of Latvia, Mr. Thomas, will present us, will talk to us about the way how symbiosis works in the poultry sector.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
Hi
to
from the
Lithuania.
north, from the south of Latvia, but still from the north. Hello, everyone, and I hope you have a great time. Thanks for having me. Maya, thank you for inviting, and Alberto, thanks for a very tasty and useful introduction. And I'm going to tell you about what we do. We produce eggs, and how we turn or how we use this symbiosis into a profit-making machine in the egg business here in Latvia. So briefly about us, the company is here for last 50 years, and we are the largest egg producer in the whole Northern Europe. We host only in Latvia, it's more than 3.5 million hens. On daily production is 2.5 million eggs per day. So out of everything we produce, 2/3 go to outside of Latvian markets. So the export stands for 70%. The turnover of our company is 120 million last year, and you see we have also few humans working in the company, a few professionals, good colleagues of mine. And what we do here, we produce mainly the shell eggs. But we also produce liquid eggs and egg pasta, a lot of boiled and peeled eggs and egg powder. So you see a full basket of egg-related products. And recently, the 2 new products is the ice cream and the egg pasta, which I'm really proud of. But nevertheless, today's story is about how we turn. Sorry to say, the shit piles into a value. This is we really believe in, as Alberto said, that there's a lot of buzz around it. It's trendy, etc. But I want to share the story how we use the synergies of the industrial symbiosis, how to turn it into a sustainable profit machine, so to say. And so the story number 1. Very briefly is about that, not all eggs are perfect. So and unless we manage the risk, we would have a lot of waste from the eggs that are not passing through the the micro crack detection, etc. The size, the dirtiness. So we would have approximately 200 million eggs, which are not good for the packing into the packages. So, but we turn it into added value products like liquid boiled eggs, and even into the egg powder. And now we use the liquid egg to produce the pasta and ice cream and scrambled eggs for the hotels. So this is how we turn sort of a waste into a highly added value product. So story number 2 is what to do. We have a lot of, here you can see the piles of another shit pile of the eggshells, which we have out of the boiled eggs and from the liquid eggs which we produce. And what to do with this? This is still a big problem. I think we can find better solutions. If any of you or in some hackathon can find a good idea, we would be happy to take part in it. But so far we have only solutions in laboratories. But at the moment we are selling the shells to the local farmers who are integrating into the soil of the land, so desouring the land. And the other way how we use it is in the making the nutritional like the calcium for both for human and for animal use. And so there is this is we had a project, but before the energy crisis, to turn the shells into the additive to our feed production, because the protein inside of the shell has to be burned off. But we postponed it until the gas prices, which are now better, comes down a bit, so to make it sense. But the main story is about the real the main waste we have. It's the manure, the chicken manure, or you can call it as a real shit that makes a big money or that makes a big impact as well. Approximately 70,000 tons. That's like 1.5 Titanic full of manure is what our hands produce yearly. And that stands for approximately 95% of the total waste what we produce. So this is definitely the biggest impact we are dealing with, and how to handle it, how to use it, where and how to find the symbiosis in this I would say golden subproduct. And this is what we have done. I think already like 7 or 8 years ago, we built on the left side, you can see we built reactor of biogas where we put in the chicken manure. We mix it with water, and we made a biogas out of it. So at that time we were turning the biogas into electricity by burning. We turned the turbines and we made electricity. But now it's a new era. And this year we opened brand new on the right side. You can see in the center left center part, we built a biomethane refinery factory, where all this biogas we purify. We split it into 2 deals. One is the biomethane, and we take away the CO2, which we are planning to also to liquidify and to sell it for the big CO2 liquid using companies such as drink industry or the greenhouse industries or fire extinguishing machines. But so far the biomethane is what we are really proud of. It's made to the like equivalent of natural gas. And the good thing is that we have this factory in place, which is super energy efficient. We are installing the biomethane, which is produced directly into the gas grid of Latvia. And the amazing part is, out of all this chicken manure produced biogas and biomethane, we produce more than the Baltijos area is the area where we are located. It's like about 50,000 people live and a lot of factories. And the gas which we produce is more than the whole area is consuming, the natural gas. So it's used. We are using it as a good alternative for for the gas from Russia or etc. We can be more self-sufficient in the gas, and so that's what we are really proud of. And plus, we can of course not only sell the gas, we can also sell the certificates of origin of each ton produced, which is, I think, more than 3 times more than the price of the gas. So this is where how I said industrial symbiosis can be used as a profit machine. So and of course it's you see also on the right side that we have the solar panels, which is probably the most trendy thing, but in our industry it is again the best symbiosis, because the most of electricity we need in the summertime when the sun is up, when we need to cool down the hen houses, and this is why it's really good to have the solar panels in our industry, that we don't need to store any big amounts of electricity, that we can use it immediately when we need it. So that's briefly it, and I hope you enjoyed, and I'm happy that you will steal some of the ideas, and have a great day. Thank you for having me.
What a great example of valorization in Latvia, isn't it? So thank you, Baltijos, Toms. Pramoninė simbiozė veikia puikiai ir Laplandijoje, Suomijoje.
Well, industrial symbiosis also works very well in Scandinavia, in Finland, and we would like to give the floor to Jane Rauto from the Digipolis Technology Park and Circular Economy Center in Kemi, and he will speak about how it works in practice.
But yeah, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and share a little bit of our experiences on this, especially with the industrial circular economy. I took some facts of Lapland, so the area what I'm representing nowadays more and more. So just to put a little bit on the landscape, on the perspective. So compared to Lithuania, we are a bit larger area and way less people. So plenty of empty space, plenty of untouched nature, but still, all in all, we are having a lot of industrial activities ongoing, and also a lot of industrial activities planned to be the future. So a lot of mining related investment ongoing, huge amount of different kind of hydrogen economy developments ongoing related to that, CO2 capture, and a lot of action ongoing, and still we are in the middle of nowhere up there in the north. But then the organization I'm working for is Kemin Digipolis, which is originally a city-owned business development company, and it's been a little bit growing our operations. So nowadays we are doing more and more business, or it started inside this 25-kilometer area circle, where we have a lot of industrial activity ongoing. There are Europe's biggest pulp mill, also stainless steel production, chromium mine, and between all these players, we have been over the years been able to have some cooperation, so have a ecosystem symbiosis, how do you want to call it? So that's kind of a real and kicking well also nowadays. The story behind everything is that 2012 we have been doing the first mapping of the side streams what are generated in the area. And based on those side streams, we've been doing a lot of cooperation between the companies in the area, between the universities, between the other schools, between the other players. Plenty of different kind of funded projects have been done and are to come also in the future. But it all started from this long list of side streams which are generated in the area. And one thing is what I've been also told, speaking a lot with with the Business Finland people, is that we should have this kind of a list available for whole country. So there should be a kind of a national database where we could kind of see the potential and possibilities, because nowadays nobody really knows what's going on in the other side of the country, and there could be some potential usage for these materials also elsewhere. Of course, a lot of them are utilized nowadays, so like the ferrochrome slag and stainless steel slag, they are quite nicely utilized nowadays already, but many other sources are there which could be utilized elsewhere. Additionally, for this list, we are nowadays listing also biogenic CO2, because that's kind of a hot topic all over, especially with the hydrogen industry. So everybody would like to produce methanol, methane out of it. So that will be something for the future. Then a bit complicated picture, but that's kind of representing this our symbiosis in the area. Not enough time to go through it in detail, but we can see that there are lines connecting, like Outokumpu stainless steel mill is producing a lot of CO, which is then burned in power plant, and that is producing electricity and also heat for the city of Tornio. Same is happening in Kemi, where we have this Metsä Fibre pulp mill. So there is also a huge amount of excess heat, and that is utilized in a district heating system. Also, a lot of, on the left-hand side, there is this Destia, so they are processing the slag from the Outokumpu and from the Tapojärvi, and that has been used on infra building, for instance, and road construction and many kind of applications. So that's all what is kind of happening, an illustration so inside our 25-kilometer area. And nothing can be done alone, so we need to have also partners and cooperation between different kind of players. This kind of represents all kind of partners we are doing a cooperation. Of course, on the left hand, our target companies, those are kind of the vital part of this whole cooperation, because at the end of the day, quite often we are trying to help them to make new business, and via that also our municipalities to get more taxes and to keep this area up and running also in the future. A few examples what's going on at the moment. So at the moment we've been developing this forest fertilizer. It's quite often I've also said that nothing is easy and it always takes time. So this is not like a 100-meter run, it's always like a marathon. I think with this case we have been working already 6-7 years. So it takes time, and there are a lot of limitations and problems with the regulation. And at some point, like around 22, 21, we were already ready to spread the first pilot, to do the first pilot, but then our local pulp and paper mill got the information that they will, Stora Enso will close down that site. So we suddenly lost half of our side streams, which were kind of planned to be utilized in this case. So there got many kind of surprises, but now we are back on track, and hopefully next summer we will be running first demo runs on forest to see how it's working. And of course, since it's a forest fertilizer, it takes some years to get the real results, but still. Here is a little bit of One example of one composition what could be used. So basically there would be ash from the power plant, and that needs to be such an ash which is only from the wood-based power generation, because if there is any peat or any other like waste wood, so normally there is also some chemicals which are not fulfilling anymore the legislation. Also some lime kiln dust will be used then to the compost from the municipal wastewater treatment plant. There we have had also a lot of discussion about the microplastics and medicine leftovers, but that seems to be nowadays okay to be used. Also boron is needed. But based on those will be mixed in a certain composition and then pelletized and spread to the forest. Time is running. Then biogas. Even the biogas is kind of already an old invention. There are still new things coming on that field. This is kind of a good example of ecosystem also symbiosis, because in this case it is a really small village having like 2,000 people living only, and in the surrounding of that village there are a lot of farming. 21 of those farmers have set up this company and applied for governmental funding for it, and have been successful on that, and now they are building this plant, so it should be up and running end of next year. And there are some new ideas also, so the plan is also to have some aquatic biomass on the feedstock, and later on also there are plans of the other companies that they will build the biochar production over there, and also biocatalytic methanation has been under discussion. So interesting, kind of interesting topics, and interesting to see how this will develop, because I mean still it's a small city and would be wrong to call it a dying city, but kind of a city anyway which is losing people all the time. So this could be something which could keep that city or the municipality, a living municipality also in the future. Biochar is also under investigation. So here it all started when the EU was kind of planning that the burning of biomass will be forbidden. So we started to think that how could we heat up Lapland in the future. So biochar is one way of doing it, and we've been mapping the potential raw material for biochar production, and then been doing this kind of simulation that how much you should produce biochar to have enough power or heat for the district heating systems. Then also been doing a lot of different kind of adding value for the timber material, so cross-laminated timber related projects have been in the past. Road maintenance products, so side streams from the stainless steel production and from the mining activities. I'm running out of time, but yeah. And that's also a terrific picture, only Finnish, but that's kind of a end result of one workshop which we kept in with the local pulp mill, and kind of illustrates that there are many ways to utilize also those side streams from the pulp mill. Yeah, I will jump over this last one, and that one we can most likely speak on panel discussion, but a little bit about the challenges and opportunities. So logistics is always a challenge. Regulatory can be challenging. Money is always also kind of under discussion, and awareness can be also sometimes limited. So, but of course there are a lot of potential also. But yeah, that was kind of running through my presentation. If there are more questions, feel free to contact, and at least if you don't have anything to ask, contact anyway, because nobody can do this by themselves, so we need to have some more cooperation in this field. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, but I haven't noticed the Santa Claus role in Lapland. process of biosymbiosis. So maybe later, okay, we'll talk about it in a panel. Tęsime mūsų diskusiją ir primenu, kad tie, kurie klausosi mūsų online, yra...
Let us continue our discussion. You can ask questions online during the panel discussion. And our last but not least presentation would be from Latvia. And Laura and Kristina Tičmanė will speak about how Symbiosis platform is working in Latvia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Vanda Ragovska, and today with my colleague Laura Kristiāna Vičmanė, we will tell you about situation of industrial symbiosis in Latvia and industrial symbiosis platform that we are developing right now. So first of all, we are happy to represent Cleantech Latvia. We are a cluster organization that connects like-minded people. We provide support to our partners in developing new projects, acquiring export markets, and promoting cooperation. Of course, we focus on sustainable finance management. We help building strategies in order to promote innovation and sustainable business. So, one of our focuses are projects, specifically one of the ongoing projects is Life Waste to Resources project. Its main aim is to introduce targeted measures to reduce waste generation by promoting reuse of resources, improving waste flow control, reducing negative environmental impact, and reduce carbon footprint. We are collaborating with many partners, with the regional institutions or private stakeholders, and our responsibilities is development of industrial symbiosis platform, as I mentioned, and consultancy to companies on attraction of additional funding. In other words, acceleration program that is ongoing right now. So we have identified that industrial symbiosis is a fairly new concept in Latvia, even though, of course, we have talked about sustainable business and the circular economy and reuse of waste, but still industrial symbiosis is something new. And therefore, there is this knowledge gap, which only accelerates the lack of trust that is among the stakeholders and among the companies. And we know that we have to promote this industrial symbiosis, promote information, promote reaching out to the companies, therefore enabling the cooperation. Of course, one of the main motivators to new things is money, so there is need for investment, which can be acquired either through great business strategies or projects and grant schemes. One of the things that we did in the project was a big interview process. We reached out to more than 100 companies, and with 50 of them we had longer interviews when we talked about their waste, what they think about circular economy, about industrial symbiosis, and identified potential companies that could be developed in this project, and also the companies with already existing industrial symbiosis. So these are only one of the companies, the huge companies that are in Latvia that are, I think, worth mentioning right now. But as I said, there are a lot of other interesting cases. One of them being widely known, Getlink Eco in Latvia. It is a waste management plant. And they produce gas and biodegradable waste processing complex and in waste disposal cells. 1/3 of the electricity produced by the power unit is used by the company, while the other 2/3 is sold to Latvian consumers. Produced energy in the company is used for their building, for other processes in construction, and also in their greenhouses. They are producing tomatoes from the tomatoes in the greenhouses with the with their own produced electricity. And also they are processing construction debris into new raw materials. Other case is Valmiermuižas Alus, also very well-known Latvian beer brewery company. There we use the brewer's grains, which is this mass of byproduct after beer production, kind of gooey grain mass. Some of the grains go to farmers for animal feed, and farmers are pretty happy about that. They say that horses' coats are pretty shiny after this feed, while others are used by bakery for cookie making. Also, they are reusing their yeast, which is settled in the brewery tanks, and it is reused in brewing and also sent to the farm with the spent grain. And also agrofirma Tervete, which is a huge agricultural complex. They do the classical grain production on the fields, and also milk production and meat production, also only milk production, I think. The cattle manure is converted into biogas in their biogas cells, generating approximately 2 megawatts of electricity and heat for production, heating and sale. Also, the produced digestate is used as fertilizer, reducing their waste and enriching the soil, and of course also minimizing dependency on mineral fertilizers. And yeah, the company sustainably manages all of their land. They are using eco-friendly practices, crop rotation, no-till farming, and yeah, as I mentioned, the manure solutions.
Yes, hello everyone. As Wanda said, thank you for having us here. Now I'm going to introduce you a little bit more with industrial symbiosis platform that is being developed during this LIFE project. Let me walk you through the key steps we took to drive this project forward. First, we focused on networking, building a strong and diverse set of partnerships. By bringing together experts and stakeholders, we facilitated real-time exchanges of ideas and insights. It also provided hands-on training, giving participants the tools and knowledge they needed to take advantage of the opportunities at hand. At the same time, we are currently mapping out resources and identifying potential symbiosis, making sure we are maximizing all possible connections. On the tech side, the online platform, which is a key part of our strategy, is still being finalized. Why such platform, you might ask? The answer is simple: new opportunities. An industrial symbiosis platform adds real value to the Latvian industry by fostering collaboration and innovation that leads to smarter, more sustainable practices. This platform encourages industries to share resources such as energy, materials, and even waste. It's about turning challenges into opportunities for both the environment and the economy. The advantages of an industrial symbiosis platform go far beyond environmental sustainability. Let's talk about some of the additional benefits this platform brings to the table. First and foremost, it attracts private investment. As businesses come together and explore new opportunities, we create an environment ripe for investment. This not only boosts the economy, but also strengthens Latvia's position as a hub for sustainable and forward-thinking industries. The platform also generates new jobs, offering employment opportunities in emerging sectors focused on green technologies. Now let's focus on the key environmental benefits. By optimizing resource use and reducing inefficiencies, it significantly lowers costs for companies while promoting shared services. It also helps save raw materials, ensuring more efficient use. In essence, this platform supports the idea of doing more with less, maximizing the value of resources while minimizing the negative impact on our planet. So how does it work in practice? The platform operates through a series of key steps designed to foster collaboration and efficiency across industries. First, we begin with the evaluation of production residues, analyzing waste streams to identify opportunities for reuse, recycling, or repurposing. Next, we provide training for managers and professionals, equipping them with the knowledge and skills needed to implement industrial symbiosis practices effectively. Finally, we support new product design and development through an acceleration program, helping businesses bring new, sustainable products to market faster. This program is designed to speed up the process of innovation, ensuring that industries can take full advantage of the opportunities in industrial symbiosis. Thus far, we've held 4 training sessions and 4 workshops, giving participants the knowledge and skills to drive industrial symbiosis. We also organized 2 field trips, offering first-hand experiences and insights from real-world examples. Yeah, I'm running out of time, but this is the last slide. Looking ahead, our focus is on mapping resources, identifying and understanding the full range of materials, energy, and waste across industries. From there, we'll focus on scaling, expanding the platform's reach and impact, bringing in more businesses and stakeholders to create a truly interconnected and sustainable network. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda and Laura, for your presentation. So now the most important part of this seminar is going to be, I'm inviting the guests around the table, actually about 2 little round tables, to the panel discussion. Torfi Johansson, consultant of Nordic Council of Ministers, please take a seat. Alberto Giacometti, senior research advisor from Nordregio. Teresa Škutaitė from Innovation Agency Lithuania. Lina Stanionytė from Sunrise Tech Park, please take. Jani Rautio from Lapland, project manager from Digipolis Technology Park. And Wanda Argovska, project manager at Synergia. So please take a seat. Yeah, we have 3 microphones, so maybe I hope it will be enough. Okay, so first of all, if you have any questions to our guests, so please don't hesitate and please ask. It's very interesting to share your expectations and your minds about what have you heard today. Maybe let's start from you, Mr. Torfi Johansson, because we haven't heard today. You are a very special guest, of course. First of all, what action should be taken from the EU level or municipal level to prioritize biosymbiosis among the EU countries? What has been done in EU countries and EU, I mean, in the highest policy in Brussels, for example?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good to be here. Well, first to make sure I do not represent the whole of EU. I represent the policy area bioeconomy within the Baltic Sea region strategy, and I've been working within this as a project for the last almost 10 years, I think now, and with valorization of bioeconomy and bioresources. And I think I maybe would like to start because 3 years ago we made this so-called trend analysis, and we tried to identify both some macro trends in the region and some trends directly related to bioeconomy. And for the big picture, and I think this is very important, this has been mentioned by some of the people here today, we are heading into, and already in many places in, very different business environment than we have maybe been in. We have demographic changes. We have basically most of our countries have reached plateau or a population peak. We're not getting any more people to drive growth. Growth rates in all of Europe are long-term declining. We are now quite happy with 1% growth a year. So, and we are, growth is not a very big driver. there are very few resources, especially not bioresources, but very few resources in general that are untapped or unlimited. We are reaching again a full or overutilization of more or less definitely all bioresources, a lot of other resources as well. And we see that the global value chains for many of the vital resources are not maybe as fluent as they always have been. We see biogas having to replace gas from Russia. We see biomass from Russia not coming. We see some fertilizers not necessarily being in the flow. We cannot be fully sure that the soya protein from South America is continuing to come. So all of this speaks into this same kind of same theme that we have to use or do more of what we have. We have to utilize all the resources that we have to full extent. And this is a matter of growth, this is a matter of value creation, and this is even a matter of self-sufficiency and security. So I think there's a very big picture here that definitely applies to all of Europe and this area here, that the need for circular economy and utilizing all the resources we have has probably never been as big as now.
Mr. Giacometti, talking about the leadership, who should take the lead in stimulating industrial biosymbiosis? Municipalities or business or government, or I know maybe EU, some officials. What's in your opinion?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This is something that I'm focusing a lot of my attention right now, agency leadership. And I think we tend to have sometimes too much of a black and white or idea about leadership. But I think the emphasis is on decentralized leadership. Decentralized meaning many actors driving different processes. It helps when there is someone facilitating. But each actor acts according to their own capabilities. Business themselves have their own capabilities. Municipalities have their own capabilities. I think something that we have been realizing more and more in the industrial transformations and in the bioeconomy, industrial symbiosis, is the role that low-level authority has, municipalities. Why? I mean, obviously, they are closest to people. This is one of the argument, closest to companies. But of course, this is not the only reason. It is at the local level where most of these solutions can be implemented. So the biogas plant can provide energy for the local transport system, or other of the industrial symbiosis residues like heat can help the local district heating. Well, it depends how things are managed in different countries, but these things tend to be local arrangements and local agreements. So there is more and more awareness about the local of low-level authority. And of course, this is harder in countries where municipalities have very little tools and very little mandate. But even in countries where they do have a higher mandate, it's often more about leadership than really the mandate to do it. I mean, obviously, in the cases of the Nordics, we know that municipalities are the system is much more decentralized. So municipalities have much bigger power or tools or instruments to act. But we also see that more and more they act much beyond the official mandate that they have, so that they act as coordinators of business development.
Okay, but how to manage with lack of trust? We heard today about this problem, especially in the Baltic countries. What would be your advice or offer for our region? Because we have a lack of trust between the business and municipalities, between the societies and the municipalities, and etc. So maybe you have any suggestions about that?
Well, trust is something that always comes, and it's something that is very hard to measure, and is a sometimes very abstract thing. But very obviously, what Wanda was bringing up, and Laura, creating platforms for dialogue, creating an opportunity for getting to know each other's needs and interests is essential. Is the absolutely first step, but not with empty purposes, of course, right? It's you need a business case, you need a reason why, right? So it's also the importance of the authority to take a step further and actually learn about industrial problems and industry, really. So it's about everyone taking one step beyond their immediate mandate.
Wanda, I know you, in a hurry, wants to leave in Lithuania immediately. But regarding Latvia, what are the biggest obstacles to the development of biosymbiosis? How can these challenges, be addressed through a cooperation? What's your opinion?
Thank you. Of course, as I mentioned, and as others mentioned, I'm sorry.
Can you hear us? No?
Okay. Yeah, as others mentioned, the lack of information, lack of knowledge, it is, as I said, it's fairly new, and therefore it sounds new. And I understand the business, the businessman has so many things that he has to already worry about in his company, for example, and a new thing that maybe is not obligatory. It requires power. It requires finances. It requires knowledge. It requires a lot of things. And one of the obstacles is also that it's obviously it's not easy to implement new technology in the technological processes. So yes, I would definitely say the lack of knowledge and information, lack of information in a language that is understandable to everyone, because when we have regulations or documentation provided sometimes by government or like big leadership, it's not always accessible in a language that is understandable to everyone, and we need to improve that information flow that would be understandable to anybody, really.
Okay, thank you. Jenny, what about Lapland? How did the organization manage to unite companies in the Lapland region, because it's quite remote region in Finland, toward a common goal?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it has taken some time for sure. And it's also that...
How long it took?
I mean, the first mapping was done 12 years ago, so there is some perspective kind of where we are. Of course, a lot of is happening. It's also about so that you have to be able to create value. I mean, you cannot attract businesses to come and give their time if they don't see the value. So it's not a charity work, even though we are all trying to save the planet. But still, there always, unfortunately, needs to be the value also. But as long as you can create value, then it's quite easy also to connect different people together and make things happen.
For example, how to convince stakeholders, for example, that cooperation between the business companies could be beneficial in this biosymbiosis projects?
Well, it's a lot about talking, so it's kind of a selling work for us. So it's our kind of our organization has been doing a lot of that. We have been kind of a molecule in between the different parties, so and motivating them and talking about the benefits, and it takes time. It's a cultural change, so it takes time.
So when you see the examples in Lithuania, you see your start in Finland, in Lapland. How did you start all the process of biosymbiosis? I mean, from these examples in Latvia and Lithuania.
Of course, everything is possible here also, and it's well, starting from the small things. It doesn't have to be the world scale immediately. So we're starting from the small scale and gaining those small victories. So that's from where it starts.
Teresa, you talked about Lithuanian waste management system. Yeah, what steps can be taken to encourage companies to utilize waste or to create added value? For example, is it possible to Lithuania to see such examples like it is in Scandinavian countries when different business companies can share their wastes and make added value, or I don't know, maybe some incomes or profits from it?
I believe certainly, and I think the first thing that we need to do is to sell the idea that industrial symbiosis projects can be valuable to businesses, because all these buzzwords are mostly valuable for us, for policymakers, for experts, and so on. Businesses, first and foremost, care about the economic value, and the culture for now is that they see rivalry in other companies. But if we promote the idea that it can be beneficial for all of the companies in the closed region, then we can achieve results. And if speaking in specific steps, I believe in every presentation that I heard you talking about data, that it's very important to gather data. And the example of Finland was especially inspiring, that the companies can see the lifetime streams of the raw materials and resources that can be used in the environment. And I believe that this should be the first step in fostering the industrial symbiosis projects in Lithuania, because as I've briefly mentioned, for now we do not have the centralized source of data, of resources that could be reused. And if we would have that, it would be easier to follow the good practices of the other countries that have done the mapping, that have done the stakeholder management and the talking and etc. And then, of course, financial incentives. Nothing can be pushed forward without incentivizing. As a representative of a business support agency, I can tell you that.
Lina, you talked a lot about hackathons, which is very popular in Lithuania. I mean, in the defense systems, we have a lot of hackathons in business, especially small business, in startups. But how hackathons contribute to the development of symbiosis?
Well, as I mentioned, it is a good tool to raise awareness about the opportunities, about the possible solutions, how to valorize waste, and to what solutions we could come, and I think, as mentioned here by Teresa and also others, all starts from mapping, knowing your side streams, and then, bringing the actors into collaboration, and these hackathons, could promote these collaborations, identifying the solutions for these side streams, and maybe, having the solutions, these cooperations might start, so I think that it is a good tool raising awareness and launching cooperations.
Maybe expect, for example, this kind of startups get in Lithuania, I mean, of biosymbiosis after these hackathons?
We have lots of interesting startups offering different solutions, but it's also very important, for the bigger companies, for challenge providers, to engage in these cooperations. And what we see from our experience, many companies confirm that they would not come to such variety of solutions if they would seek for it alone, so.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Johansson, talking about the energy independence, energy or security of energy, how can symbiosis contribute to achieving energy security, especially given the current geopolitical context, which is very common sense now, is a very popular topic in Lithuania and other Baltic countries. How can we achieve the new goals of the energy security, helping biosymbiosis?
I think we've already seen some examples of that, how we have the resources locally to produce biogas from many different side streams. How we can add solar and how we can use forest biomass. I mean, there are many ways where we can produce energy locally, plus of course wind. I think it's also important to understand that industrial symbiosis is just one way of running circular economy. And it should never be seen as a goal in itself, because there are other ways to do that too. And when we talk about industrial symbiosis, we normally are talking about place-based cooperation between companies and sometimes also with municipalities. Municipalities often have side products of heat. It can be wastewater heat, or can be like heat from waste, municipality waste areas, and this is also energy that's important to harness. But if you don't have these bridge-building actors locally, well, then you have to look for other models, and we have also today seen other models. Baltic OVO is a very good model, where the company itself is taking care of the circular economy initiatives. So you don't always need different unrelated companies in order to get the system to run. And if you have problems building trust, if you don't have the bridge building actors, well, then we work with other solutions. Yeah, there are many ways to work with this, and yes, energy is very often a part of that. Heat, gas, solar, wind is very often an integrated part of that. So this is definitely an area that would help us to build up more resilient region.
Mr. Giacometti, continue with you. Could you share, please, more about your valorization? I mean, how can this, how significant this valorization is advancing biosymbiosis? I mean, how is important have to be the valorization? We've heard a good example from Latvia, yeah, from the chicken factory. Is a good example for other companies in Baltic countries which are just thinking about how to create this system?
I heard from our colleagues in the Ministry of Agriculture the other day that Lithuania and Latvia and perhaps other are ranking amongst the lowest at EU level in how much value it's created per unit of bioresource. And that tells a lot, because obviously there's a lot of primary production going on in Lithuania and Latvia, in many of the Baltic countries, Baltic Sea region in general, that is not reaching the full potential. Much of the production is also based on export, not in creating a circular value within the regions or the territories where these resources originally come from. So yes, definitely it is a key place, but as I tried to introduce earlier, there are low-hanging fruits. There are some that are easier. Biogas is one of those easier ones. It's not easy, but it's easier ones because it doesn't require a high level of technification, right? It was very interesting to see from one of the presentations that I think from Finland that several farmers come together and invest in this, right? Because you need some scale. So that's why but Baltic OVO has the scale, so they can do it themselves. But in other cases, you need a bigger scale. Now, the issue is when you need a little bit more skilled, higher capacity, then the investments tend to be much bigger. So that's the importance of connecting these developments to academia, to university, to where the knowledge comes from, right? And one important thing that just to finalize is that in valorizing what we are actually talking about is creating entirely new industrial processes. So a company that is doing farming is not by default an industry. They don't know how to do biogas necessarily. They don't know how to do biochemistry. So we are essentially talking about creating new businesses, new companies. Whether we do it in-house or out of the house, that requires skills, investment, and so on. So
But what kind of support could be done from the municipalities or from the government, for example? Because it's quite tricky to understand or to think about the future in Lithuania when business companies could sharing their wastes with each other or creating common biogas projects, because doing common things between 3 or 4 business companies is not quite easy now in Lithuania. In Scandinavian countries, we saw a lot of good examples, but in Scandinavia, well, we have to change maybe our minds, our a little bit mentality. Maybe we can say. So, what would be your suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, as it's been mentioned several times here, value, like showing where the value is essential. But often what is hard to find is the client. Who is the client? And that's why there has been a lot of emphasis on procurement or green procurement, or how municipalities, or maybe in this case in the Baltics, it could be at a different level. But the state and the state authorities are big clients, are buying buildings, are buying or have some influence over transport systems or heating. So if they influence what they buy, they can influence a specific kind of production. So you can see this in several scales, but also in one of the growing sectors, which is wood construction, for example, in Sweden and also in Finland, the public authorities have been a major driver of the industry by being the ones taking the risk. Mm-hmm. Because private developers might not want to be the first ones risking what if this building will burn or fall down or, I don't know, have water leakage problems. But if the state authorities take that first risk, it allows the industry to develop the industrial capacity, the knowledge, and to prove to everyone else that this is a viable solution. So that's a way sometimes funding for research is there. Sometimes the pilots are already there. What is missing is creating a market, creating the opportunity for jumping.
Teresa, you mentioned about collaboration in Lithuania faces challenges. So why do you think so it is, and what measures can be taken to establish a functioning waste management system?
First of all, interinstitutional collaboration is essential, because right now, as we can see, the division of the topics and the governmental bodies is quite decentralized in Lithuania. In the ecosystem of circular economy in general, we have the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Economy and Innovation, Ministry of Agriculture, and there are also several measures based in other ministries, and when everyone is responsible, no one is responsible in the end. Is it true? So I think that all of these major institutions have separate functions for now and separate measures, and there is not enough of institutional collaboration, because if I am a company and I would like to participate in the Symbiosis project, would like to scale an idea or whatever, I would like to have a very direct stream of where should I go, what kind of services can I get, and is there any support available. For now, I'm not saying that that we do not have any measures, but it's still a lot of chaos and a lot of miscooperation. So, but I'm very excited to be a part of conversations like this, because this starts a road to a smoother cooperation.
Jani, what about Lapland? Once more, what were the biggest challenges considering Lapland's remote location? Because in Lithuania we have a lot of remote, areas, and it's quite difficult to think about their success in the future when they can, share the competitiveness. I mean, the waste companies' competitiveness with each other. What was the start? I mean, what were the challenges in Lapland?
Well, of course, the distances can be challenging, and that's actually limiting in some cases what can be done and what cannot be done. There has been some studies where we're studying side streams from the Sea Lapland to be utilized in one mine area, but 200 kilometers, it's 200 kilometers, it cost money, and that was just too much. So couldn't do it. But then on the other hand, like this forest fertilizer, that has been quite clearly thought already from the beginning that this is kind of a local solution, and we are only thinking of using the side streams inside the 100-kilometer circle, and also the idea is that it can be only used in a 100-kilometer circle. So you have to be also realistic every now and then there. And but then one thinking about like waste collection and things like that. So of course Finland do have quite strict legislation and how like bio-waste from the household needs to be collected and things like that. So it can be sometimes quite crazy also, because now we are driving from the eastern border of Lapland, we are driving some bio-waste to Oulu, which is like 300 kilometers away. Just because the legislation is saying that you need to do it. So there is nothing to do anymore with the common sense. We just have to do it. So it's not always so wise kind of a solution out there.
Yeah, now I'm thinking maybe in Lithuania bigger taxes for waste can be, stimulate this all the process or motivate all the process of biosymbiosis. What do you think? What the role of the taxes could be, can be to reform this?
With the taxes, I mean, with the
taxes, for example, for the wastes.
Tax for waste, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was our driving force, 2012, basically. So that was kind of the starting point for that mapping of industrial side streams, because there was a tax on top of those. So for sure, it has a remarkable meaning in this case. So for sure, it's a motivator.
That's the question. Mr. Hoyne, who else can be motivate in such countries like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia to create a bioeconomy or biosymbiosis process? What do you think? We talked about a bit taxes, but maybe not so tough tools.
Well, I think like we've talked about value, and of course when you put up a tax or some kind of a fee, that's one way to create the value of utilizing. You basically create a negative value of not utilizing, and this has been the driver in many sectors. This has been the driver. Let's take meat processing, where we have had fees or taxes on waste for quite a long time, out of maybe obvious reasons. And this is maybe industries that you see, what I know best in the Nordic countries, that have managed to utilize quite a lot, or practically everything. We are really down in the last pieces of the animals that are slaughtered. And I understand that in Denmark now, the side products in pig industry are more valuable in total than the meat that comes from the pig. So this is how much this has created, and this is of course starts with the taxes. There is we all want to save the world, but we are not going to do that and losing a lot of money over that. We see that everywhere. But we have a factor now which is security, resilience, and kind of becoming a little bit more independent in a quite significantly more unsecure world. And I think maybe this now could be an important driver for us to start to look inwards and say, okay, which resources do we have? Food waste is a resource, and for example, if we can reduce food waste, which is in most of our countries close to 30%, then we have more available food from what we have. So there's a lot of, we talked about energy before, and so I think becoming a little bit more resilient, a little bit less dependent on the global value chains, I think this could be a driver for us to go in and look, what do we have? How can we use it?
Lina, from these examples which you saw with us from Sweden, from Finland, from Latvia, which are the best? Which could be the best for maybe for Lithuania to create all the system? What do you think? I mean, of wastes of symbiosis.
In Sweden and Finland, we started with this long ago, you know, like 10, 20 and more years ago. And in Lithuania, for example, in our clean tech cluster, we are starting, as it was told, from low-hanging fruits, from bioenergy, and compared, you know, like to the years ago, you know, like generation of bioenergy for heating, it rose a lot, you know, like from 2% to over 70, you know, according to the reports from Bioenergy Association. So, I think that we are in the good path, you know, like, and we need to raise awareness to provide incentives, financial incentives also for these innovations, because it's costly, you know, these technologies for storing, for equipment, for processing, you know, like, so it's costly. It needs finances and to minimize risks.
Yeah, hopefully we are in a good path, as you told. Thank you very much. Maybe any questions from the audience? Can I borrow your microphone, because we are only free? Maybe Mindaugas Matulevičius. Mindaugas, he is a quite famous farmer in Lithuania, from Farmers Union, yeah? Have you any questions, especially from our guests?
I think not a question, but thank you very much for very good presentations. And for me, the key message that I am taking over, it was not said, but first of all, what we really need is for our government to understand that if to have a sustainable bioeconomy, if to have all the waste utilized, all the raw materials to be produced into higher value added product, it means a lot higher GDP. A lot higher part of GDP. So it means higher pensions, it means higher payment for teachers, it means higher payment for police and everything. So once we understand that, there will be tools which are missing in Lithuania, for example, access to finance. It's nearly impossible to get funded bioenergy, biogas facilities. We could build them, I would say 30 to 100 up to this moment, but the funding is missed, is lacking. We're lacking the funding. So we need that time. Development banking would be the solution, and we are on the move to that. So I'm really hoping, and I would like maybe you also to exchange your experience on the development banking in your countries, how it can help and how it was helping in that way. Especially, I know in Finland it's very efficient, and in Sweden, and maybe it's also a good way forward. Thank you.
Jani, maybe you could answer to the question about the financial support, or maybe from your experience.
Yeah, of course there is public funding also in this project. So even that 21 farmers who have set up that biogas production plant, so they have been funded also. It's like 65% of the total investment has been funded by the government. So there is a lot of funding needed to make these things happen, and it's also the same applies like for we are doing a lot of with hydrogen economy. So also there, it doesn't come without public funding. It needs the public funding for that, and of course private investors also. But the public funding is playing a big role in this.
What about the banks? Are they interested in such a project?
Banks.
Banks.
Some, yes. More and more. There is a lot of discussion also with those, but banks are still quite strict on their calculations.
Maybe another the same questions for you now. You don't have any. Giacometti.
Yeah, well, again, funding is always an issue, but as I'd like to emphasize that it's not enough with the funding, right? Because if ultimately businesses operate with a longer term, right? So funding is essential to establish the infrastructure or to establish the cooperation, but not on its own. There needs to be a clear business case. In some of them, it's easy. So I would say, when it comes to biogas plants. I mean, it's like the risk is quite limited. So yes, of course, funding is essential. But essentially, what funding, as in regulation, as in taxation, all of these are tools, right? These are tools to disrupt the system. What you want is to disrupt the system. So it's how to use all of these tools that you have at hand in a smart way to disrupt the system, to induce innovation.
Any questions, more any questions from the audience or maybe online? Do we have any questions from online? No. Okay, everything. So I would like to invite maybe Dalia Minetaitė, Chief Advisor to the Ministry of Agriculture, to summarize this discussion, or to summarize all the presentations. What have you written on your paper?
To thank, I mean, all of you presenters and of course participants here and online for the participation, for the very interesting presentations and also discussion. I think discussion was quite interesting, and most things were actually mentioned. What we have to take into account. And also, I also take this opportunity to thank Nordregio for cooperation, also for this paper with all kinds of recommendations for all levels, starting from government, municipality, business, and other. So this paper, of course, will be actually in our internet, in the internet of Ministry of Agriculture, and I think everybody could have a look and also to benefit from this information. Then summarizing what I want to say, that most things you have already touched, but I want to start from the mindset. We have to change our mindset, first of all, and go from the linear economy approach to secular principles in everyday life, for business, for consumers, for our society in general. So this is, I think, the crucial aspect. Then, of course, as Tina said, it was interesting for me that people are very important. People, and also, as it was mentioned, trust of businessmen, people's communication, platforms, everything is very important, and I think in Lithuania as well, because we still need such structures. Then, of course, as Stina also said, that we should start from small-scale entities or small-scale technologies, business, and then to make it bigger. And yes, in particular for the Baltics, I'm speaking about the Baltic countries, where we have a different situation, and the situation is also clear, that is, have some objective circumstances, as we have different history and also economic development, and yes, we just have 35 years of free market. So of course, degree of maturity of industry is a bit different, like in the Scandinavian countries, northern countries. But I think it's a good chance for us to take this, information, and of course awareness of the society is also very important, because it was said many times that we have quite limited information about the benefit of sustainable, let's say, processing or of waste, of side streams, etc. So we need to inform society more. Then valorization. Valorization is a key moment, and as it was said by Alberto, by others, that actually it could be done in different way. and bio-industrial symbiosis, or industrial symbiosis is one of the way. And we have also explored another way how to increase value added. And this is very important, as Mindaugas said, yes, because if we have a higher value, we are more competitive and we could compete on the global markets and also to earn more money to our budget and to use it for social needs, for other things. Then, yes, there are differences between the Nordics and the Baltic countries. So, of course, planning and this is also mentality, I would say. Planning is going bottom up. And in our countries, we get used for the centralized planning and approaches. So this is probably we also should change and to give more mandate, more possibilities for the municipalities, and they should be more, how to say, independent and decide on some things. Then about investment we have already discussed, but also risk sharing is also quite interesting theme because it's new technologies, new business models, and also we have to think how the government in that respect, or public money could help to reduce risk. And this is also could be an incentive to start this business. And I agree with on data, because the government institutions could collect the data about the waste, side streams, other materials, and this type of information, of course, could be very useful for businessmen, because they probably cannot do that in proper way. So, yeah, there are plenty of other maybe points, but maybe somebody from the audience could help me to finalize this. And yeah, so from my point, from my side is such points. And yes, thanking again. Thank you very much, and it was, I think, very interesting discussions and interesting seminar personally for me. Thank you, Marius, as well for your.
Thank you for audience, and thank you for online audience. I hope they got a lot of important information and what is most important, useful information and remarks. Or maybe, Mr. Johansson, your final remarks, how long it takes for Baltic countries to reach such a level like it is in Scandinavian countries, like in Sweden or Finland. Your final remarks and your
First of all, this is no competition. This is about starting where you are and then taking the first small steps. And I think everyone has to move. They have to move in their pace, and they have to use partly their methods, but partly import good practices, good examples from elsewhere. How long it takes? Well, we have eternity ahead of us, and we take the first step, and you already did that here today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for this seminar, and good luck, and hope you see you again next time. Thank you. Thank you very much.